He was brand new, okay? So this is all new to him. So what he did was he cast a lot of the veterans, voice actors, so that they would kind of, help out. He's kind of new to this. He's kind of uncertain. So he gets some people with some experience to help out. So he cast me as Goemon, and then he cast like Monica Rial and Chris Patton and Greg Ayers and Tiffany Grant, all of the regulars at that time at ADV. And what I remember was any idea that we had, he would let us do. That's the kind of director you want. You don't get that all the time, but it's fun when you've got a director. Like if you come up with some nutty idea, instead of going, that's stupid, just do what I tell you to do, they're like, okay, try it. So here was what we came up with. I don't even remember how this started, but we started, every one of us started doing this thing where, how you have sounds like exertion sounds, like Foley. Well, technically it's not Foley, but they're little exerts, like, when you jump, or when you land, or you throw a punch, or you whatever, you make little noises, right? Well, we decided that we wanted to have some fun with our little noises. And I don't even remember who did it first. I don't know if I was the first one or not, but I said to him, because the show was supposed to be funny. It was meant to be funny. So it was very, very, very comical, wacky show. And so when I was getting ready to jump one time, I said, hey, do I have to do the standard, And he's like, no, do whatever you want. So I went, pew! And it blew the mic up. And I'd do all these, and all these funny little noises whenever, I'd land. Instead of going, I would go, or I would go, and so then it started catching on. And all of the other actors, every time they would make a little noise, would put their own little twist on it. So that was what I remember loving the most about Goemon. That was a fun show. You guys should check that out. You should check out Legend of the Mystical Ninja. Yes, with the cool striped gloves. Yes, hi. Have Aaron and I ever shared any Ed and Al moments? You know what? Actually, that's a great question. I'm an only child. Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing. If I said, I have 3 brothers and sisters, plenty of people go, aww. I'm sorry, dude, right? I mean, there are pluses and minuses, advantages and disadvantages to both ways. But I do remember my whole life, I remember thinking if I could ever have like a sibling, I would want a younger brother. Not necessarily an older brother who would beat the crap out of me. Not necessarily younger, older sisters, because there'd always be the gender, fighting and thing. But just for me, personally, I would like to have a younger brother. And when we started Full Metal, I was so excited because it was kind of like I vicariously had a younger brother. And the cool thing was we recorded several episodes before I ever even met Aaron. Now, I don't know if you know this, but I think you do. Aaron was like 12 years old when we started recording Full Metal. Maybe even 11. Maybe 12. But he was very young. And I was completely grown up. And as much as possible. And I was at a convention in Dallas. And somebody came up to me and said, hey, you know who that is over there? He's with his mom. And I'm like, who? They said, Aaron. And I was like, Aaron who? And they're like, Dismute, the kid that plays your brother. And I went, I just took off running. Don't worry, these microphones are very resilient. Dynamic mics. You pound nails with these babies. I'll buy you a new one if I break it. And I just went running, and I'm like, can you imagine this poor child? It's like, my mom told me about monsters! He probably thought thought I was gonna, like, she's gonna try to abduct me right in front of my mom. And I went running up, and I grabbed him. I just went up and I grabbed him. I'm like, I'm your brother. And poor Aaron, he's like, let go of me. I can't breathe. And so I got so excited and so for the whole rest of the series, after he and I met and became friends and then started doing conventions together, it was like, Britt will tell you, when we're any place where there's snow, Aaron and I are out having snowball fights. And we're rolling around in the snow, and we're wrestling and fighting like out in the halls, and messing around, teasing each other. I'm sure you guys have seen plenty of videos from YouTube where we tease each other and joke with each other. He became the little brother that I would love to have had. And even now, with the show over, and of course, as you guys all know, Aaron doesn't sound like Al anymore, so he can't possibly play Al in Brotherhood, and that's just unfortunate, but, that was a calculated risk that Funimation took when they cast a 12-year-old boy. Nobody knew there was going to be Brotherhood. Nobody had any clue there would be any more episodes, so there was no reason to worry about it, but when they started making Brotherhood, suddenly something had to be done, and Aaron, now he's like, brother. And so I was just up at his house, actually. I was up recording a few weeks ago, and I went over... What is that?
Sorry, that's my phone.
What is it? It's just a little bit distracting.
Sorry.
Perhaps you could answer
Hold this,
or turn it off or
Teresa.
something.
Hold it still.
I love it. It's a great ringer, by the way. But I went to his house, okay? Well, now Aaron, he's like this now. And like this big around, and real tall, and his voice is lower. But as soon as I got there, he's like, hey, want to go for a ride in my car? I'm like, this is so freaky. This little kid, And so we jumped in his car and drove around. I even uploaded a picture to my Facebook of us in his car. And we drove around town. He was so proud, and I felt like this, big brother. And my little brother's, just got his permit and he's driving now. And so that's one of the many fringe benefits that I got from Full Metal, was that I got to have a great relationship with Aaron, and he's kind of like a little brother to me even now. So yeah, good question, great question. Yes.